So I'm really excited about this next session from our CX team in terms of a programmatic approach they've pulled together to help smoothen that road and drive that journey. So with that, I will hand it over to Michael and Maria Ellen. And
thank you very much. Good morning. Good to see you all. So I have the pleasure to open day 3, and to me it's a big honor to be here because you are all experts in automation. I'm driving automation since roughly 30 years. I've studied this as electronic engineer for a decent amount of time, and I've seen many things changing throughout the last 30 years. We ended up now in an environment which is very flexible with a lot of tools where you can take a lot of choices, and what I'm going to talk about is the digitization. Digitization is the level on top of automation. If you want to standardize things, if you want to automate things, you first need to standardize. And I'm going to lead you through a kind of thinking. It's a methodology which is going to help to simplify many things. It helps you to simplify the 2 major things our customers, the 2 major challenges our customers have. One is how I'm able to get the technology which I've chosen to solve my business problems implemented. And the second one is, how am I able to keep it alive? And that's the only 2 challenges which are out there. So let's go into this. What we are going to look into is basically things which are human designed. And in the past, things have been human designed and human readable. What we are doing is we are crafting things still by the artwork humans, engineers, architects are bringing with, but executed by machines in a very structured way. And what is different to the things which have been in the past, this is all data model driven. This is all data model driven in a sense of that you move away from scripting and snowflakes, because scripts are very cumbersome. And scripts, when the requirements change, you need to reopen the scripts. You need to have someone who is looking at detail into all of the different variables and then change them and adjust them every single time requirements are changing. If you do this in a data model-driven environment, you move away from these cumbersome changes and you are populating data models. And we're going to get back a little bit deeper with Maria Elena a little later. It's all automated and it's all driven by automation. Means everything which is done more than once, you can automate, and you should probably. So moving to standardized digital assets is going to give you a big box of Lego blocks to build the next things which are around there. And that is something which is going to help you to accelerate new projects. It's helping you to accelerate new environments, and it makes things very robust and very scalable along the way. Going one further, the most important thing is the customer value. It's all about crafting something which makes technology value higher, but more important, it's something which is bringing financial benefits across the organization, because we are not here for the fun to play around with technology. That is something which we can do on our own. We are here to craft business benefits, and that is what we're going to look at. So I'll first take the customer lens to this. When you look into today's environment, and this is the extreme end where people haven't automated much. This is the end where people are designing changes, they are designing networks, they are looking into the validation of those networks, they are looking into the execution and the implementation, and the post checks and so on and so forth, and then they need to document these things. Some of you have automated certain steps in between. You can take basically your own times which you need in a project, how much time you need for each of these steps. When you follow our methodology, you're going to end up in an environment which looks like this. So there are only 2 steps left, which are manual. That is the artwork, I would say. That's the design of the change. And the peer review, to check up if the design was made in a proper way and if the guidelines have been followed. All the things in between are either not necessary any longer if you follow Digitise Delivery, or they are 100% automated. That means when you are ending up in an environment and you are looking how to do this, you are able to repeat each of these steps super fast in a machine-readable, machine-executable way. And that brings you from project times, which are, in the first case, days, weeks, or months, into project times where the design the change probably might take you a day or a couple of hours or a week. But all the rest of the steps is automatically executed, and that is something which is super highly accelerating your capability to react to security threats. It enhances your capability. Yesterday, back to the sustainability question, you can do this multiple times a day if you want to basically fade up and down your network, your capacity, and so on and so forth. The good thing is it comes with much higher quality, because you never push anything into the environment which is not fully tested, and you can rerun with every change the entire testing environment. It automatically updates the documentation, and it's automatically giving you the possibility to implement things. So the quality is raising as well. Make sense up to here? Good. Let's look into the benefits. What we see, and this is real customer data from real environments, we see that you are saving roughly 40% of your effort and time when you do this in the implementation environment, and you save up to 90% when you need to repeat certain things in the operations. And that is very, very appealing, because it means that engineers are moving from replication to innovation. They have far more time to do things they like and not the repetitive things which they have already done 30 times and they're going to get back to. Let's roll the video and see what happened in the past.
Around 1440, all Europe's books were hand-copied and therefore amounted to only a few thousand copies. Yet by 1500, they were printed in the millions. All thanks to the innovation of Johannes Gutenberg, the German inventor who introduced letterpress printing in Europe with his movable type printing press. His innovation to create small, movable, reusable letters gave us the ability to print and reprint information instead of transcribing it manually over and over again. These small letters are standardized. They can be reused and assembled differently for other books. They are created from a community of people. This concept makes it scalable, fast, and economically very attractive. Thanks to Gutenberg, today we can use our time to actually write a book instead of squandering our talent by copying the ideas others have written down.
Looking into Gutenberg, we can learn a lot, because he has done three things which entirely changed the environment. First of all, he highly standardized the letters he has used and the press he has used. Secondly, this standardization gave many people the possibility to contribute, which couldn't read or write, but they were able to build small letters, they were able to use the press, and so on and so forth. And thirdly, it made it highly economically viable to do this many more times, and instead of having handcrafted a handful of books, you had millions very fast across the world. And learning of this, that basically means that we are going into full digitization, so we are also building small Lego blocks, and I would love to invite Maria Elena on stage, so give her a warm welcome applause, please.
Hello.
Maria is going to help me to take the flight level a little deeper and look into how does this really work. So, welcome.
Thank you.
What are we doing and how is it really applying to our environment? How does it work?
Okay. So what we are doing is we are really changing the way in which we deliver our projects. We are digitizing the whole process by the introduction of automation. But automation, we have been talking 3 days here about automation as a technology. This goes a little bit beyond that. It's automation as a methodology, the way in which we deliver the projects. So the same principles, simplicity, replicability, structure, apply to a project execution. We are making a combination of code together with a data model that will drive every single technology domain that we are going to digitize in order to run replicability, stability, and replication. So the data model is the actual thing that drives the whole process. Let's look at the data model, Michael, because
yes,
that's the key thing. So the data model is this tree structure with the different Lego blocks, with dependencies across them, and so on. The data model is something that we are defining per technology, per every network domain, and it's going to drive the whole life cycle of a project. Since we are in the ideation process at the very beginning, even before starting the execution of the project, we already have this data structure, this data model. It will drive the whole process from the project design, validation, rollout, and most important, even the operations. Everything will be driven by this well-defined data model.
Do I understand this right? So you start with an empty data model, and at the end of the implementation phase, you end up with a fully populated one, which you can reuse?
That's right. The data model is something per technology which is fixed. We keep populating it with the customer specifics as we go through all this process. We keep populating it until it is fully populated, and then it becomes the key thing to run the day 2 operations for our customers.
Very cool. I'd love to understand how you do this and what are the tools you are using. But before asking you, I would love to ask all of you. So if you can log into the Slido, please. Also, if you are online, can do that. Please tell us about the top tools which you are using in your environment to automate. And we will get back to your results in a second. Elena, what are we using in Digitise Delivery as tooling?
Okay, tools. Git, CI/CD frameworks, robot for testing, NSO for deployment, or Ansible, various options. Several tools which are well known. Let me mention something which is not exactly a tool, but becomes key in all this Digitise Delivery process, which is YAML formatting. It's not a tool, but it's very important, because one of the key changes that we are going to do when we implement our projects is that we are going to change the way in which we document and we design our outcomes, right? We are not going to deliver a PDF document anymore to our customers. We are going to deliver a YAML output. What does it mean? Whenever we finish the design of our solution, we have a YAML output, which is basically something machine readable. And that's the key difference. From the design, at the end of the design, we have something which is directly actionable into the network.
That sounds very cool. That sounds very appealing. Do I understand you right? You are thinking things from the end? Means you start the project by having operations in mind to make it as easy as possible?
We are thinking that the same principles that drive the design should drive the operation. Exactly the end-to-end process. From the beginning till the end, everything driven by the same data model.
That sounds super appealing to me. Let's look into the Slido results from you. So what are the tools you are using, and how often are you use them? Wow. So 92% of you are using Git, so we use the same, which is very lucky, and good choice, Elena, I would say.
Nice.
Python scripting, it's all based on Python. Yes, Python we use as well. NSO as a driving tool, absolutely. And the service awareness is cool. Ansible, yeah, as well. JSON, Terraform is coming up right now, and Markdown we use for documentation. So it looks like we are all in the same environment, just the weight is right now probably a little different. Great. I have a couple of more questions to you. And the next one is...
Let me mention something, if
Yes.
you don't mind, Michael. Can you go back to the previous slide with a full view of the tools that we are going to use? So let me mention something, excuse me. I know we are in a room full of automation or software engineers. All these tools are very familiar to you. You would be thinking, what's new in all this? What is new is that we are applying all these tools in a completely different environment. We are talking about the different technologies. Try to put yourselves right now in the shoes of a network engineer, someone who is designing his IP backbone, or deploying a data center, configuring their firewalls. They really don't need all these things. They don't need them. It's our intention to introduce these tools because we want to digitize their processes. And that's where the disruption is. It's on the type of technologies to which we are applying these tools.
Thank you. Good.
Nice.
Let's go on further. Elena, what are the skills? What happens to the skills of the engineers? And back to the conversation from the first day, is the CCIE still valid?
It is still valid, very, very valid. The main skill that has to run all this and has to be a presence on everybody who participates in this type of project is DevNet. Okay? So anyone who participates is DevNet. But we cannot defocus. Okay? The core thing is the technology that we are deploying. If we are doing firewalls, we need a security expert. He is the person that needs to drive the key decisions, because this is going to be painful or a very nice journey for the customer in the next 5, 8, 10 years. So this person with the technical domain expertise for the concrete domain that he's doing needs to be augmented with DevNet capabilities, but he keeps being the core of everything.
Great, so subject matter expertise, plus DevNet as a baseline to understand software methodology.
Exactly.
Cool,
DevNet.
very, very cool. So let's look into the reality. What's next? What are we going to do with this? Where are we going to take it from here?
Basically, next is the choice of which technologies we onboard into this methodology or these processes. I am happy to say that today we are already delivering our ACI projects and SD-WAN projects on a digitized delivery manner. But the big thing is coming. IP networks will be deployed with this methodology. IP networks is a big thing, right? We are not going to create a data model for everything you can do there. We are going to divide into small chunks and small pieces. SRv6 coming first, very soon. And then we will keep looking at some other pieces, Meraki, another domain that will come soon. And the intention is to keep adding all our technical domains into this methodology. So that's what is coming next from Cisco. But from our customers, what we are observing is that they are really adopting this methodology themselves. So this YAML file, this data model, keeps being the structure that they are doing in their day 2 operation. And it's running the way in which they are running their processes today. So the next thing that is coming is a transformation. We are accompanying our customers to adopt this methodology, themselves with less and less Cisco CX involvement, running their network based on the digital asset that we have delivered to them.
That sounds very cool to me. So to sum it all up, we are in an environment where the world is changing faster than ever. You come from a hardware-centric environment, going through software environments into a fully cloud-enabled space. And what we are learning is that pure DevOps, thinking about projects from the end, from the operational piece, is going to make things far more attractive in the implementation and in the environment, because it means that you are able to move engineers from replication to innovation. We are going to massively simplify with the data models which we've built per architecture, the way how you are using it. And back to Mark Swanborough's comments from yesterday, I think it was very, very interesting, because Mark basically said, yes, you can build this all yourself from scratch, but you do not have infinite time, infinite budget, and infinite skills. So having a Lego block environment is going to massively ease the replicability and the stability of your networks. You are going to drive innovation. You are going to go into the reuse, and this reuse is going to be a key measurement of you in the future, because reusing the stuff you've done once and being able to apply this to other environments is going to be so financially attractive and so much speeding up your environment that it gives you a competitive advantage. What you're going to get free of charge is the 100% automated testing, the 100% automated documentation and implementation in this food chain, and we are more than happy to talk about more about this. Infrastructure as code is the baseline which we are using, and the data models on top is the innovation which we are bringing to make things easier and drive this further. And talking about real life, we are doing this with more than 25 customers right now globally, from very small hospital chains in the US to the biggest financial institutes globally, as well as banks, as well as insurance companies. We are doing this with service providers for their 5G deployments, and so on and so forth. If you are interested, feel free, join us and talk to us. We are more than happy to engage further. Back to you, Omar. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. That was very cool. So a couple of questions. First one from the audience. So you start off talking about models as kind of the end goal. So a couple of pieces to this. Do you, if customers have existing models deployed, do you standardize? Do you translate? Do you have a specific schema that's CX developed? Do you do a line against IETF, or kind of just what's the?
If there would be an IETF standard which really works across the board, we would use that. To be very honest, there is none right now. There are different attempts to this. This is why we've looked into it from the lens of making it easy for our customers, in a sense of making it reusable. If we have a standardized schema, which we are coming with per architecture, you can reuse the entire code across many projects, across many customers, which makes it very bulletproof and economically very interesting. If there are models out there from third parties, if there are young models out there, we can incorporate this. But it means also the incorporation takes a little more effort. But once you've standardized your own environment with your own customer, you can make reuse of what you have standardized on. So we come with an idea. We believe data models, to keep it very stable, is very good. You can always extend the data models, but you can't change the things which have been used before. I hope that answers the question.
I think that makes sense, and I'm sure if it doesn't, someone will shout out with a different opinion. So my question, I get to ask questions to them up here. So I think most of our audience is in the, you had the not digitized, fully manual, then fully digitized. I think most everyone here is kind of in the kind of digitized category. So what I gathered is you can kind of layer in, meet customers where they are, and then help them standardize and help them move through the journey. Is that accurate?
Yes, do you want to take that?
You take it.
All right. So absolutely. So we are working with our customers throughout the different stages. There is a co-development stage. That's the customers which are very advanced. They have already CI/CD pipelines running. They've chosen Git, GitHub, GitLab, whatever, and they've chosen a certain tool chain. And we are more than happy to integrate, and this is our standard business. This is what we've done all along. On top of this, we've also highly standardized our packages. So we are able to come with the entire tool chain, which you've seen, and that makes it very, very fast to deploy, because once this is standardized, you can go from the idea of doing something and implement it to the real execution very fast. And we deploy this on customer side, if customers want to reuse this in operation, but we are also able to do this with our tooling to just do the deploy phase, if things are super stable and people don't need to change the requirements along the way. I would say that's a corner case, to be honest, because requirements always change. That's what we've learned along the history of IT. So I would highly recommend you deploy this tool chain on customer side to be able to use it in operations. That's where the real rock and roll comes.
Okay, final question. It's kind of just a lingo and nomenclature. So concept of DevOps, concept of infrastructure as code. In your minds, how do you define those? Are they same, different? What's the delta between those?
To me, it's a tooling. To me, infrastructure as code is a concept where you look at infrastructure from a software perspective. And you use the tools which are out there in the software world anyway, to be able to speed up things you've done in infrastructure with physical stuff in the past. And looking into DevOps, DevOps is the means to everything, right? Going back to the two main challenges of customers, how am I able to implement the technology which I've chosen to my business problem, and how am I able to keep it alive? It's about the keeping it alive, right? The implementation is nice, but keeping it alive and keep it with very high quality alive, security, sustainability, and so on and so forth, that's the key methodology. To me, it's building blocks, which are fitting to each other.
That's fair. Thank you for your time, and thank you
very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.